Hey fashion lovers, welcome again to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be teaching you on how to draft this stylish shirt with drawstring by the sides and a well detailed tutorial explanation on how to draft this kind of suitable collar. So if this is what you want to learn, let's get right into it. Go ahead with your pattern paper, come down by 1 inch. Now this 1 inch is going to be serving as our starting point as usual. I'm going to be connecting with my ruler. Next is my shoulder to my bust measurement. Go ahead and mark your shoulder to bust measurement. Then thereafter you mark your shoulder to waist measurement. After marking your shoulder to waist measurement, you're going to go ahead and mark your shoulder to top length or blouse length or shirt length. Okay, then after you're done marking, you can go ahead now and connect every point together with your ruler, right? So this is me connecting my points with my ruler. Here you have a bust, next is your waist, and the last is your top length. So next I'm going to be coming out by 3 inches for my button allowance, and I'm going to be marking all the way to have my straight line. Now that is my my button allowance. So from that button allowance line I draw, I'm going to be placing my tape and marking out my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. Then from that shoulder measurement, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch, and from that 1 inch I'm going to be marking the opening for my armhole, which is 8.5, right? And I'm going to stretch it out with my pencil. Next is my neck width, which is 3.5. Then the leg length for this particular one, I use 3 inches, but you can use 2.5, 2 inches. Okay, then I'm going to be connecting with my armhole curve to form that round neck. Then I'm going to be connecting that round neck to meet up the shoulder line, which is going to be forming my slope line. Okay, now whatever I have under my shoulder measurement, I'm going to be marking it on my armhole line, and I'm going to be having a straight line. Now this enables me to have my straight line, right? Next is to find out the midpoint of that my armhole line, which is what I've done, divided by 2, then mark out that, then come out by 0.75 for the front shirt. So under my armhole line, which is the chest line, I'm going to be marking my bust measurement divided by 4. Then on my top length, I'm going to be marking my hip measurement divided by 4. Please take note. Okay, then I'll connect the lines like this. Then I'll connect those 3 points together like this. So this is my armhole curve, right? I'm extending the front neckline. So next up, I'm going to be adding my seam allowance to this dress, which is 1.5. Now before you go further, right, the bust measurement, what I did for this particular shirt is, if my bust measurement was 30, I'm going to be adding 2 inches because it's a free shirt. I'm adding 2 inches, which is 32. Then that 32 now divided by 4, and I chalk down. Then this 1.5 inches I've added right now is what I'm going to be sewing out. Hope you understand. Then I went ahead now to mark up the half inch on my neck line and my shoulder line and my armhole line. Note that my button allowance was folded inside. Okay, so if you're watching this for the first time, you can go back again and watch and see what I did with the pattern. Okay, I'm going ahead now to cut out this pattern, and this is going to be serving as my front pattern. So next is my back pattern. As you can see, just go ahead and mark your shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist, and shoulder to your top length. The same thing I did for the front, for the back. Only that this back is not going to have button allowance. Okay, so I'm done. I'm going to go ahead now to mark out my neck width for the back. I'm using 3.5 for the width. Then I'm going to be using 1.5 for the length. You can use 1 inch. Connect it with your ruler like this and the other way around. Then use your armhole curve to get your round neck like this. And that's all for the neckline for the back shirt. Next thing is your shoulder. Remember your shoulder divided by 2. That's what I'm going to be marking out. For a shirt, you add your 1/2 inch. Okay, then whatever I have on my shoulder measurement, I'm going to be marking it on my armhole line. Okay, and I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Thereafter, I'm marking out my armhole line, which is 8.5. I'm going to roll through, connect my points together. Then I get to do or roll out my slope that is connecting the shoulder to the neckline. Then on my armhole line, I'm going to be marking out my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'll add my 1.5. Don't forget that your bust measurement, you add at least 2 inches for allowance or for freeness. Then you divide it by 4, then mark out your 1 inch or 1.5 inch for seam allowance. Okay, sorry about that. So if you've been following my channel, this is very easy to connect. Your shirt armhole coming in by 1/2 inch on that armhole midpoint, then connect the 3 points together to get this your armhole curve. It is very easy. So on my top length, I'm going to be marking my hip measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to mark my seam allowance, which is 1.5, and I'm going to be connecting like this. So go ahead now and mark out your 1/2 inch for your neck line, shoulder line, and your armhole curve. This particular tutorial is well detailed. Okay, you can use it to sew any shirts that you desire to sew if you follow this pattern very well. So I'm done with my back pattern, and I'm going to be cutting out like this. So this is what it looks like for the back pattern, and this is what the front pattern looks like when I'm opening it up. So next I'm going to be drafting my sleeve measurements. So I'm going to be using a 3/4 instead of a long sleeve. So I've marked out my sleeve length and I'm connecting my lines. Then next up, I'm going to be marking out my cap height. The cap height for this particular sleeve is about 5 inches. I'm going ahead and to mark out the 5 inches. I'm just going to roll through. Next is on this my cap height, I'm going to mark in my armhole. But for this particular I did not measure the person's armhole. So I went ahead, I brought my front pattern, and I'm going to be measuring the armhole on the shirt, which is 12 inches. Now, if 12 inches plus another 12 inches is about 24 inches, that's how I got my armhole. Okay, so I'm going to be marking out my 12 inches over here. That's my armhole. From that point, I'm just going to rule a slanted line or a diagonal line to reach the starting point of this sleeve, right? Just the way you see me do. So now I want to have my midpoint. I place my tape slantedly and fold it into 2 like this, like unfold. Then I press it down and I mark the midpoint that I've gotten right here. So this is midpoint, and I'm going to be stretching it forth with my ruler. Now that midpoint, I'm taking it back again to get another midpoint. Please just follow me closely. Now this is midpoint for this end, right? And I'm going to be marking it down, and I'm going to be taking the tape to the other end. That other end now, I'm going to be dividing it to get my midpoint. Just where I place my tape, I'm going to go ahead and fold it. Now I've gotten the other side, the midpoint of the other end, right? Now move to the first midpoint. Now this midpoint, you're going to be going up by 0.75. Okay, you're going to be going up by 0.75 inches, and you're going to be marking it there. Then you go to the other end of the midpoint and mark your 0.5. So use your rule to curve all points together. So that point you marked 0.75 should meet up with the first midpoint like this. Then the next one is you're going to be blending it to meet the 0.5 from that midpoint, the first midpoint, to meet up with the 0.5 like this. Then next you're going to be blending the other end to meet the end of the sleeve, and that is how we achieve this sleeve for this shirt. Okay, now the sleeve length is going to be carrying your round sleeve. It's a free sleeve, so mark out your sleeve length divided by 2, then mark out your seam allowance. Okay, and this is what I'm doing here, and I'm going to be connecting the points to meet up with my cap height, right? And this is a perfect sleeve, so you can use this sleeve to draft any other kind of sleeve, right? This is why I said that this particular tutorial is well detailed. So if you follow very well, there are 1 or 2 lessons or new things or new arc you'll be learning. So I went ahead now to mark out my 1/2 inch on the top of my sleeve, and I'm going to be cutting out just like you're seeing me do. So my sleeve is ready. So place every pattern on the fabric. This pattern is placed on fold. This is my front pattern, and I'm just pinning all the way, and I'm going ahead now to cut out every piece of this fabric. So this is also the best time to subscribe to my channel. If you've not subscribed yet to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like, share, and comment. Drop a comment in the comment section. Okay, so I'm notching my zipper allowance, I'm notching the waist. Okay, this is the sleeve, and this is what the sleeve looks like. I cut 2 sleeves. This is the front part of the shirt, and I'm going to be folding them in. So the place I notch, I'm going to pick it and fold, then fold again. When you're done folding, you're going to go ahead now to sew on it, then cut out the excess. So this is the back pattern. You bring the already folded and sewn part of the front pattern, place it together, then sew the shoulder allowance. Bring the other pattern and do the same thing to it. Sew the allowance on the shoulder part. So this is my sleeve. I folded already. I'm making sure that it's very perfect. Okay, so this is my shirt, the front part of my shirt. You go ahead and sew because I was done ironing. So this is straps. If you've been following my channel for a while, you should know how to do straps by now. Okay, then I'm done sewing the shirt. I want to fix my sleeve. So bring the midpoint of the sleeve where you notch and place it over the shoulder of the shirt like this. The midpoint on the joining part of the shoulder, you pin, then sew on one side with 1/2 inch and sew on the other side with an 1/2 inch. So I'm done, and this is what it looks like. So this is what the shirt looks like. So now next is fixing of our drawstring by the side. That is where you're going to be fixing it, is directly under your bust. Now take your bust, your shoulder to bust measurement, your shoulder to under bust measurement, and if you don't have it, go up by at least 3 inches or 2.5 away from your waist measurement. Okay, then go ahead, pin, then sew all the way down. Now for the other end where you're going to be putting your drawstring inside the button allowance, what you do is, if you've sewn before like I did, go ahead and loosen it and open it to some extent like this, then go ahead and fold the hem. When you're done folding the hem, you will come back again. So you go ahead and sew everything. Now before you start sewing, you know that at the end we didn't sew down to the hem. You will leave at least 3 inches by the sides like this. You can leave 3 inches, you can leave 2.5, or you can leave 4. So I didn't sew all the way down. Okay, so I'm done hemming the blouse or the shirt, and this is what it looks like. Okay, I'll come back to that side. Let's just move to the part where I need to fix the drawstrings. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'm already done with the folding. So you bring it together like this, back, and sew again. Now the casing is open already, so I'm going ahead now to mark where the drawstring is going to stop. Okay, you can mark at least 10 inches, 9 inches, 12, as the case may be. So I'm going ahead now to fix the straps or drawstrings inside the casing, and when I get to where I want it to stop, I would put a pin there and sew on it. Now removing it is not a case, you just have to just do it gently. Since we have not fixed the collar, it's easy to remove. Okay, so now my sides, just fold the sides and sew on it, right? And this is how it looks like, or what it looks like. So I'll go ahead now to measure the entire round neck, and whatever I get, that's what I'm going to be using to draft out my collar. Okay, now this is my collar right here. It's on fold. I've already gotten my starting point. Remember that my round neck is about 24 inches. That 24 inches divided by 2, I'm going to be marking out 12 inches. So this is me marking out my 12 inches. That's plus my button allowance over there. And I'm going to go up from that center back by 1.5 inches all the way, then connect with my ruler. Now this helps me to form my Mandarin collar. That's what they call bishop collar. Okay, whatever I got on that end, that 12 inches, I'm going to mark it on the upper part, then roll my straight line. So this is my Mandarin collar. I'm not done yet. So for that button allowance, I'm going to go ahead now to measure what I have on my button allowance. What I have is about 1.25 or 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead now to mark the 1.5 from that end where you see my tape is. Mark on the other end, right, the starting point, and get my straight line. So that's my button allowance. You can do a curve, you can make it straight. So for this particular tutorial, I'm making it straight. I'm not going to use that curve right there. So from the center back, I'm going to be coming up by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to be blending it with my curve ruler. Now this helps for the collar to sit, relax very well. Okay, I'm blending it in like this. Now whatever I've blended in, I'm going to be going up again by that same 1/2 inch, right? I'm going up by the 1/2 inch over here, and I'm going to be blending it in. So just follow and you would get every bit of this. Now as you can see, we have our well detailed Mandarin collar. This is the Mandarin collar. If you're going to be doing only one piece collar, this is Mandarin collar. So from that center back, I'm going to be going up by 2.5 inches, right? I'm going up by 2.5 inches on this other end. Notice where I'm placing my tape. I'm placing my tape at the beginning of the bottom allowance, and I'm going to be connecting my line like this. Okay, so we have a straight line, right? So if you notice that I took my 2.5 inches from the other end, you can just do your 2.5 inches from the initial end, that's the midpoint. Okay, then again from that my button allowance, I'm going to be going in by 1 inch, right? That's where the extension of my collar is going to start from. You can do 0.75, you can also do anyone. So from that point, I'm going to connect it to the point where I went up by 1/2 inch. Okay, yes, I've connected, and this is what it looks like, right? So from that end, now that's 0.5 inches, I'm going to be connecting back to my initial collar, right? That's the center back. I'm going to be connecting it back again. So if you notice, it's already slanted like this, so you're almost done. This is a perfect collar. It can work for any outfit that you're going to be using a collar for. So you can go ahead now and mark out your 1/2 inch allowance on all the sides, right? So go ahead and mark out every 1/2 inch. Now I'm doing it because I want a very perfect collar. So I'm going ahead now to connect all the points together. So I'm going to flip over to continue marking my half an inch. I'm going to stop over there and connect to meet the other point. So I can't mark the other place without cutting out. Now this is where I'm going to be cutting out from. Just follow the way I'm cutting so you don't cut wrongly. Now that part where we went up by ½ inch, that's where you're going to be cutting from. Okay, so from there you go ahead and cut out. Now that's the collar. So we're going to be cutting down the mandarin collar. The place where we went up by ½ inch, that's where we're cutting out from. So go ahead and cut out your collar just the way you are seeing me cut. So I'm going to go ahead now to cut out on fabric. Now remember that our mandarin collar, we did not add any ½ inch, so we're going to be adding ½ inch on our fabric directly like this. So go ahead and add your ½ inch on every side of the mandarin collar. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting two pieces, like two of this particular mandarin collar. Now the name of this particular collar is two-piece collar, right? Okay, so I'm cutting out like this, and this is one part of the collar. So I'm going to cut out the other part of the collar. Now in this particular tutorial, it escaped my mind. I thought I added ½ inch on the down part. I didn't add. So you can go ahead and add your ½ inch on the down part of this particular collar, but it didn't change anything for me, right? But it is good you add your ½ inch, as you can see. So go ahead and cut out, and my collar is almost ready, right? This is a perfect collar. Now I'm done. I've ironed my stay on my collar on both sides, light stay, right, on both sides. And this height is, I'm placing both sides facing right sides, right? Okay, now first I'm shifting that mandarin collar away. My main collar, I'm going to sew in ½ inch, just the way my hands are going. I'm done sewing the ½ inch, and I went ahead now to press on it, like to bring you a part of the mandarin collar. Now note the part that is supposed to sit with the upper collar, right? Not that part only, so that you don't mistake it. So that part is supposed to sit with the collar. That part I'm holding now, the middle part where I notch on the mandarin part and on the main collar itself. So when I'm done placing, I'll place the other mandarin collar over it and pin, right? And pin the middle, the midpoint. Okay, when I'm done pinning, I'll try my possible best to make sure everything aligns, pin, then sew ½ inch all the way around that end. Okay, so you see the way I'm trying to pin everything together so that I would not make mistake while sewing. I'm done pinning, and I'm going to be sewing ½ inch all the way around. I'm done sewing, and this is what it looks like. Very neat. Go ahead and iron. This is a very neat collar. So I went ahead now to fold ½ inch inside and iron it. Okay, just the way you see me do. Now I already noticed my midpoint. I already marked my midpoint, so I'll place my collar down, look for the midpoint of the shirt, and put the midpoint of the shirt inside the midpoint of the collar and pin. Okay, when I pin, I'm going to move to the end of the collar and pin the end of my shirt to the end of the collar like this. The same thing I did here, I'm going to be doing on the other side. Now this helps for accurate relaxing of the shirt and the collar together. Okay, so when you're done pinning, you're going to take your time to sew on it. You're going to take your time to sew on it. This is the essence, or this is the reason why it's good to iron while before you sew. Okay, so those parts are coming out, just fix it in and sew on it. You can sew 0.25, and this is what the collar looks like. It's really beautiful. It is detailed, it is neat. I bet you if you go through this tutorial, there is nothing collar that you cannot sew. So if you've not subscribed yet, this is the best time to subscribe to my channel. So till I meet you again in my next tutorial, I'm going to be telling you I love you guys. Keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing. Bye.